Okay, so let's dive in. I'll admit, this deep dive is a little outside my usual territory.
Hmm.
But the sheer volume and specificity of your watch list tells me this is more than just a you like what you like kind of thing.
Right.
You've got spicy, you've got wild. Looks like someone's been doing some serious BL drama binge watching.
It really is quite the collection, and not just in terms of quantity,
Yeah.
but the very deliberate categorization is really interesting. It suggests there's a real intentionality behind what you're drawn to.
Exactly. And instead of getting bogged down in reviewing each individual show,
Yeah.
we're going to use your selections to kind of unpack the wider trends simmering beneath the surface of this genre.
Right.
So let's start with this spicy category. Whoa.
Okay.
There are some seriously dysfunctional families going on here. Let's talk about Chew. Instantly comes to mind.
Oh, absolutely. And Only Friends really throws fuel on that fire, doesn't it? Exploring all the complexities of chosen family
Yeah.
alongside those meshier biological ties. These dramas really tap into a universal truth. Family dynamics can be such a breeding ground for conflict,
Oh, yeah.
especially within a genre exploring love that often challenges societal norms.
Right. Like the stakes are already high even before the romance even kicks in.
Exactly.
Then you've got shows like My Beautiful Man 2 and Naughty Babe, both practically swimming in scandals and secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget Cutie Pie with that whole arranged marriage situation.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a recipe for disaster.
It's interesting, though, how these spicy elements, as you call them, often intersect with broader cultural anxieties within the BL drama world.
Oh, for sure.
Like, take arranged marriages.
Hmm.
They tap into these fears of forced conformity, the pressure to conform to family expectations,
Yeah.
which can feel even more heightened when you're navigating same-sex relationships.
So it's not just about the drama itself, it's what it represents about the very real pressures these characters are facing
Exactly.
just by trying to be together.
Precisely. And then on top of that, we have all these power imbalances, often set against the backdrop of workplaces, like in You Are Mine and June and June. This is where things get really, really interesting.
Okay.
Because suddenly it's not just about navigating personal feelings,
Right.
but the very real consequences those feelings can have on careers, reputations, their entire lives.
I'm starting to see why you find this so fascinating. These spicy elements, they're like pressure cookers for romance.
They really are.
But what I'm curious about is, what is it about these particular conflicts that resonates with our listener? Is it the heightened emotional stakes, the exploration of taboo subjects, or something else entirely?
That's an excellent question. Because I think it's within those nuances, those very specific preferences,
Yeah.
that we start to understand not just the appeal of BL drama in general, but what those choices reveal about our own desires,
Oh, wow.
our own fears, and maybe even our own unspoken anxieties about the world around us.
It's funny, thinking about those societal pressures, all those anxieties we talked about, it's almost like they get amplified when we move from spicy to your wild category.
Yeah.
Because suddenly we're not dealing with like family drama or office politics anymore.
Right.
We're talking life or death scenarios, hidden worlds, apocalyptic futures. It's a whole other level.
It really is. It's like taking those interpersonal conflicts we were talking about
Yeah.
and placing them against this backdrop of heightened reality.
Right.
And it makes all the difference. Like, take crime thrillers, for example. Shows like Chains of Heart and KX Yaku.
Yeah.
The danger is palpable. You can just feel it.
Yeah.
And it forces our characters into these intense alliances and betrayals that test not just their love, but their very survival.
And survival takes on a whole new meaning when you're in a dystopian world, like Till the World Ends, right?
No, absolutely.
It's not just about staying alive at that point.
Right.
It's about what you're willing to fight for, who you want by your side when everything else falls apart. Talk about intensity.
Exactly. And that intensity, it often bleeds into the romance itself. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
When you have these constant external threats, intimacy becomes a lifeline,
Right.
a shared refuge from all the chaos around them.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder we see such passionate, often tumultuous love stories emerging from these high-stakes genres.
It's like you said, taking those spicy elements, but dialing them up to 11. A workplace rivalry seems almost mundane
Right.
when you compare it to, say, outrunning a supernatural entity with the one you love.
Exactly.
Like in low frequency.
And that's what I find so intriguing about this category in particular.
Yeah.
It's not just about the thrill of the genre itself, but how that heightened reality, how it transforms the romantic core of the story, you know?
Totally.
It makes you wonder, do these extreme scenarios make the love story feel more real, more earned?
Oh, interesting.
Or do they push it further into the realm of fantasy, a kind of escapism from the everyday?
That is the question, isn't it?
It really is.
And I think what's so great about these deep dives is that there's no right or wrong answer.
Exactly.
It's all about your personal experience, what resonates with you as a viewer.
Precisely. And it seems to me like you're drawn to a certain intensity, you know,
Yeah.
both in terms of the plot itself and the emotional stakes of these stories. But what I find really striking is the sheer variety within your selections.
Right.
You're not just sticking to one type of wild story.
Yeah.
You're exploring the full spectrum of what this genre has to offer.
Which actually is the perfect segue to those few titles that really jumped out at me.
Okay.
First up, Hit, Bite, Love. The description hinted at exploring different relationship styles,
Oh, interesting.
which feels particularly relevant given all that stuff we were just talking about, and societal pressures.
Absolutely. BL drama has always pushed boundaries.
Oh, for sure.
But to see this movement towards more diverse representations of love,
Right.
whether it's polyamory, open relationships, or even questioning those traditional labels altogether, it really shows how the genre itself is evolving alongside our understanding of intimacy itself.
It's like even within this world
Yeah.
of, heightened emotions in these dramatic scenarios,
Right.
there's still room for nuance. There's room for exploring all those complexities of connection in all their different forms.
I love that.
And then there's the novelist,
Okay.
an erotica writer whose life starts to mirror his fiction.
Wow.
Talk about meta.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating choice,
Yeah.
especially within a genre that already blurs the lines between fantasy and reality.
Oh, totally.
It makes you think,
Yeah.
are you drawn to this idea of meta-narrative because it reflects your own relationship to BL drama? Is this a way for you to kind of explore the power of storytelling? How these fictional worlds we engage with can actually influence our own desires
Right, yeah.
and our own expectations in our real lives.
Oh, that's a good one. Because let's be real for a second.
Right.
We all have those moments where a story, it just gets under our skin.
Yeah.
It makes us question our own perspectives on things.
Absolutely.
And speaking of stories that get under your skin,
Okay.
History 3. Classic enemies to lovers. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's practically a genre staple at this point.
It really is.
But something about this one just feels different to me.
Okay.
Maybe it's the whole cop and mafia boss dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
That classic power struggle, but with a dangerous edge.
It's a recipe for conflict, that's for sure.
Right?
But you know what I find so compelling about the enemies to lovers trope,
Well,
especially within BL drama, is how it subverts expectations.
Oh, interesting.
It's not just about overcoming obstacles on the surface.
Right.
It's about dismantling those preconceived notions, those
Yeah.
prejudices. It's about seeing the humanity beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And often that journey of discovery
Yeah.
is just as explosive as the romance itself.
It's like that slow burn,
No.
the tension building as they chip away at each other's defenses. It's honestly incredibly addictive to watch.
It really is. And what's fascinating to me is that you've chosen this range of enemies to lovers stories, each with its own unique flavor.
Right.
You've got the high-stakes danger of History 3,
Yeah.
Trapped, but you've also got the playful banter of mention another show with the trope from their list,
Right.
and the slow burn tension of mention another show with the trope from their list.
Yeah.
What is it about those particular dynamics that you find so compelling? I'm curious.
It really is, like you're saying, even within a single trope like enemies to lovers, there are just endless variations to explore.
Endless.
It's not about the destination,
Yeah.
like them actually becoming a couple.
Right.
It's the journey, the
Right.
winding, sometimes chaotic path they take to get there.
That's such a great way to put it. And it brings us back to the heart of this whole deep dive, right?
Yeah.
It's not about saying one show is better than another. It's about understanding what your unique preferences,
Yeah.
what those preferences reveal about the kind of stories you find meaningful.
Exactly.
So tell me, Are you drawn to like the adrenaline rush of those wild plots?
Okay.
Or is it more about the simmering tension of those spicy relationships?
You know what? Maybe it's a little bit of both.
Could be.
I mean, look at this watch list you've curated. It's explosive and introspective.
That's true.
It's clear that you appreciate a good plot twist or two,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also clearly invested in the emotional journeys of these characters,
Yeah.
the challenges they face both internally and in their relationships.
Which makes me think back to those societal pressures we talked about earlier.
Right.
Because, while BL drama obviously offers this incredible sense of escapism,
For sure.
it also holds this really unique power to reflect real-world anxieties.
Yeah.
Particularly for those who are navigating love and identity in environments that maybe aren't as accepting.
It's like these stories offer a safe space in a way
Yeah.
to process those anxieties, explore different possibilities, even if it's through, a heightened, more dramatic lens.
Exactly. And in doing so, they offer this incredible sense of validation,
Yeah.
of community, even for those who maybe haven't quite found that in their offline lives.
Which is such a powerful reminder, don't you think?
Definitely.
That entertainment isn't just about entertainment.
Right.
It's about connection. It's
Yeah.
about finding pieces of ourselves reflected in the stories we consume.
And perhaps even discovering new facets of ourselves along the way, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe even new ways of understanding our own desires and expectations.
Yeah.
So as we kind of reach the end of this deep dive, I'm really curious.
Yeah.
What will you take away from this exploration?
What new insights have come up? What stories are you most eager to explore further? And why?
Such good questions.
Because ultimately the most rewarding journeys
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that we continue long after the credits roll, right?
Beautifully said.
Oh.
On that note, we'll leave you to continue your own personal exploration
Yes.
of the vast and ever-evolving world of BL drama.
Happy watching, dear listener. And remember, the best deep dives are the ones that leave you with more questions than answers.
Yes.
And a whole new list of shows to devour.